So characteristics of polynomial functions. So this first one is I'm just looking at the boss here. The boss says I need to look for a negative cubic. Do you remember its generalized shape? Cubic? Well, what's just a cubic letter? Which letter is the cubic? What letter shape does it make? An N. So this is an upside down N. So I'm looking for that shape. This number here at the end is the constant. Does anybody know what the constant would be on a graph? So the constant would be if there's no x's. So if there was no x, where would you be on a graph? You'd be at a y-intercept. If x was 0, you'd end up at 65. Do you see that with math? If there was no x, 0, then there would be 65. Okay, do we have anything that could fit this description? Any of these letters? Bottom middle one, so that's A. Okay, graph B is, so that says x cubed, so what do I know about the arrows, shape of the arrows? The arrows should be doing that, and I should have something crossing at 8. So do we have any arrows that do that pattern and 8 y-intercept? I think this top right one, right? Okay, next is an x to the 4th. What did the arrow patterns look like on an x to the 4th? Some kind of like, could be a W, but the arrows are both going up. Yes. Were you going to ask me something? Oh no, you're just elevating. And y-intercept of 4. So I need arrows upward, and I need a y-intercept of 4. So that is going to be this bottom one. Okay? It's not a W. Okay? And the reason is because we had a repeat of something going on in that. That's why it didn't end up being a W. Okay? But the arrows have to be the same. Up. Okay, squared. So I need arrows both up and a y-intercept of 9. So that's looking like the top middle. A negative x squared, so now you should look for arrows downward, both downward. And you need to find a y-intercept of 1. Bless you. So that'll match E. And then the last one is an x to the 4th with a negative coefficient. That's a coefficient. So then arrows are down, down. Y-intercept of 4, negative 4. So that one is F. Okay, so there would be a part on your test where I'm not going to let you have a calculator, and I'm looking for this thing. Do you know the general qualities? So the y-intercepts, the shape, the arrows, that kind of pattern. Question 2 in your homework booklet. A football player is kicking the football and they're trying to get it through the uprights. So if you don't know football, to get a field goal, the ball has to travel through the bars but over this crossbar. So you can't, so if the football is there underneath, that's not good. It has to be somewhere above this, okay? Has to be above it to score. Okay, so let's go. Type that in. Okay, obviously you guys know you're not putting a D in this calculator, you can just use the X button. Okay, here's what mine looks like. So what do I need to change for viewing it? I want more to the right, more right. So window, I'm going to change more to the right. So I need that. So I'm going to go to 50 on a scale of 5 on each tick. What's a tick? Is that what you said? Like, see all these little ticks on the screen? Each time you hit a tick, it's 5. So look, if I counted, this is 5, 10, 15, 20, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's, you can change on the thing that says the scale. Each tick is worth 5 now. And that's, if I show you the difference between, look how many little ticks there are. Right? Because now each one is 1.
Yeah, does it really matter though?
It doesn't, but if you have something like 20,000,
Well, then that matters.
it gets a little wild, and then your calculator slows down because it just makes it slower to graph. Okay, let's talk about variables. Let's talk about variables. What is the x variable? What is the y variable? In a word, what is the x variable? So it gives you it here, like it tells you. What is x? The horizontal distance the ball gets to, and the y, so the h on this one, the y is the height of the ball. Okay, so understand that. That's the biggest thing you can do, is just what is the x, what is the y, what variables do they mean? Okay, so here we go. Question, problem solving skills. So the kicker is 35 yards away. Where is the ball going to be? What do I do? My calculator is going to do the math, so what do I do? All I know is this. This is the what? Is it a horizontal distance or a height? It's a horizontal distance. Is that an x value or a y value? It's an x value. So what do you do if you know x values? If you just know an x value, what do? Trace, and you tell your mouse to go to 35, enter. If you know x's, you just tell it to go there. Okay, so when I'm at 35 yards across, I'm at 3.85 height. So what do you think about the field goals? Is it good? Did it go above or below? Are you happy with this kick? Did your team win the game? It's good. How far above or below the bar are you? So we're above the bar, right? We are above by how much space is there from the football to that crossbar? How much above this bar are you going to be? What are you going to do? What kind of math work? This is 3.85 off the ground, and what? What did you do?
I just subtracted.
You subtracted 3.33, right? You see why we're doing that? The height of the crossbar, height of the football. 0.5, and what are we going to put beside that as a unit? Yards. Okay? So use your calculator to do the math, but you got to understand what's going on. So that's all about the words, some problem solving. Okay, let's go to question 5. So flip, it's on page 3. Okay, so what's happening is there's 2 equations. So there's going to be costs to this company, has costs, and then they're going to make money. Okay, so I need you to actually go into a y1 and a y2. And I need you guys to understand the second equation is an exponent x. Do you see the exponent x button? That's tricky. So I have my screen up here for a bit so you can see this is an exponent x on that type. Okay? Do you remember the exponent button? I hit this one. Under the clear button is the exponent x. Like exponent and an x. Hunter, did you find this spot? Or are you lost? Yep. To the x? Okay. So this is a company and it's all about money. So I can already see $1,500 of money on this. So I'm going to think my window will be pretty big. Should we cheat? Should we just go to that table?
You always have to go to the table.
It helps that you know what to kind of put that screen at. So like should we do 2,000 of money or something like that? Because look at these numbers. So, I don't know. We'll start with 2,000. So the Y max, I'm going to go to 2,000 and then jump by 500. Each tick 500. Okay, more. We're going to go higher. You know what, I don't know if I'm going to have to go right or not, but let's go higher. Should we try $5,000? $5,000? Good? Everybody's screen looks like mine? Okay, graph it. Clearly label your graph. So, this is a x squared. Like it is a parabola. It's just that because this number is so low, your parabola is really like flat. Does that make sense? This is a parabola. It's just that it's so flat. It almost looks like a line on ours, but it technically would be a parabola. And then this one would be like it shoots up. And then we crisscross each other, right? Okay, what is our x variable? What is our x variable? Time in hours. And our y variable is the dollars. It's either the cost or the earning, but the dollar amount. Okay, so I can't graph that. because I can't go to negative time. So if you had that on a exam, I'd have to deduct you for not understanding to stop your graph. And then we would need some kind of numbers here, but we don't really have a sense of that right now, hey? So this one starts at 1500. This one started at 1. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing here. So if I want to jump from curve to curve, I would have to hit my buttons that are up and down. Left and right move you on a line or a curve, but up and down change which one you're on. Okay, so that's a feature to know, like up and down will move you from which one you're on. Okay, using this graphic calculator, determine the minimum number of hours you need to stay open in order to make a profit. Okay, so to be a profit, what do you know? What has to be more than what? Earnings have to be greater than your costs. So do you see here? My earnings are below that line. They're below that line. They're below that line. Right here, they're the same. And then all of a sudden, they're going to switch. Now the earnings is going to be higher than the cost. So what do I want to know? I need that. That's the big thing with my math. So you guys know how to do that. Second, calculate. Intersection, enter, enter, enter. Oh, mine is thinking. 36.08, comma. You getting something like that? Okay, I can't use that exact answer because at this point I'm not greater than, I'm the exact same. So we need to do what with this number? We need to be above it, right? Okay, because you have to move this way to make this go higher. So it says to 1 decimal place, so I'm going to round up. Okay, if you answered 36, you'd be wrong because 36 would be here and now it's not greater than. 36.08 is wrong in the sense that they're not greater, they're equal. And then what do we put on the end of that because you need some kind of hours? Okay, we'll do one more here. So this is a multiple choice question. The end behavior of a graph of a function that extends from quadrant 3. So you have to go from quadrant 3 to 1. So how do you get a graph to have an arrow in that and then that? What kind of graph would you pick that could do that with arrows? A, B, C, or D? It's a multiple choice question. C, cubic. Okay? Constant is something that stays flat, quadratic, doesn't go opposite. Sinusoidal, you don't even know what that is yet, but you will. So that's the only answer. Okay? Which one is false? So a linear function, do you remember what linear is? It's a line, has only one y-intercept. What do you think about that statement? That would be true, so it's not that one because we're trying to pick a false one. A quadratic function must have two x-intercepts. False, because what else could it do? It could just do one or none. So this statement is false because of this word. It doesn't have to have, it could, but it doesn't have to. Okay, and then this is on a test when you know everything, so you don't even know what those are. Okay, those are the next unit ones.